Greetings, friends and followers. This is Nurses Talking. As always, if you like what you see and hear, subscribe, leave us a comment, let us know what you think. Here on Nurses Talking, we speak to nurses anywhere in the world and at any stage in their nursing journey. And today, I am very, very pleased to welcome Keli Heskett. Keli is a veteran. She is a CEO and co-founder of Tort Medical Counseling. She's also co-founder of Guard Dog Telehealth, which that name intrigues me. Kelly says that she started her career in the Air Force, in the United States Air Force, as a dental hygienist, serving in both Desert Shield and Desert Storm. And then she went to University of Kansas Medical School. She received a Bachelor of Science degree in Clinical Laboratory Sciences. And further in her education, she attended Flagstaff, where she received a Bachelor of Science in Nursing, and finally her Master's in Forensic Nursing. And Keli says that she became aware when she discovered the field of legal nursing, everything just clicked with her experience in medicine, trauma, education, and emergency services and all that. So welcome, 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 Keli.
Thank you so much for having me, Jill. We've been looking forward to this because we love talking nurse stuff. So thank you.
Okay. I appreciate it. I really appreciate you doing this. But tell me, since you love talking nurse stuff, why though are you a nurse?
You know, I started my journey as a computer programmer. I hated it. I made great money, but it felt like I was doing nothing worthwhile. And then I became a clinical laboratory scientist because I love the science and really working with the clinicians to figure out the whole picture. And when I met my now husband, he was a flight nurse, and I had no idea nurses could do that. I honestly thought, and this is a huge joke, that all we did was wipe heinies. And he informed me that there were jobs like flight nursing. And I said, okay, well, now I have to become one because holy moly, I had no idea. And it has been the best journey of my life to date. So.
Yeah, yeah, and you know, a lot of us come to nursing, not understanding just how huge it is, or even who we are, let alone who nurses are, who nurses are. So thanks to your husband, because that's one of the goals of this channel. I want to, dispel that vision. Yeah. So you came though, you had a previous career. You're a veteran. So that tells me you're coming from a very structured environment. So what skills, first of all, what challenged you taking that into nursing, and what skills stood you in good stead?
That is a great question. So one of the things that nursing taught me, and I know you will agree, nursing teaches you who you truly are. You just don't know it at that point. I am super type A. So the military was my bread and butter. I mean, I love the structure, but they closed my base. And so I had an opportunity to get out and go to school or continue. And I thought, you know what? I'm having too much fun. I probably should get my schooling done. And so I joke, I've had 5 careers, dental hygiene, computer programming, before I stumbled into nursing. And what I now realize is that I had to go through every single one of those careers and that journey because literally what I do now, every single one of those opportunities I draw from every single day. And I had no idea. Friends were like, you went from being a hygienist to a computer programmer. I don't know, it's a journey. I have no idea what I'm doing, but it just feels right. And really, when I became a nurse and now elevating to the level where we hire nurses and we're educating, and I taught nursing, all that kind of stuff, it really taught me that you will end up where you're supposed to be in nursing. And while those skills you may not recognize as being very valuable at the time, it teaches you everything. I mean, everything I've learned about who I am, I really gained from nursing.
Yeah. And so very often, again, we come to it and we're looking at this body of knowledge and all these things that we have to learn and not really understanding. A lot of it is about us, really.
Yes.
A lot of it. Mhm. So I see that you did multiple fields. You did do the flight nursing thing. By the way, how was that?
Uh, I loved it. I often describe nursing as the best, worst job you'll ever have. I was told you can't be a flight nurse if you've been under, you have to be at least 3 years as a flight nurse. They won't just take ER, you have to have ICU. Posh. I did it. I did it in 2.5. It was terrible. I realized it was terrible in that I was one of those ER nurses that was a little bit cocky. Oh, I've seen it all. I can do it. I have great skills.
Mhm.
When I became a flight nurse, through that training and working with clinicians that were some of the most brilliant people I've ever worked with. I knew my husband was intelligent, but when I became a flight nurse, I was like, holy moly, he is smart. And it humbled me. And it also gave me a drive to that's really where the advocacy started, where I had perfect impact on someone's life by my own actions, how I communicated with them. And I loved it, loved it. But the life is difficult. What is expected of you? My husband and I were on exact opposite shifts for 3 years. We never saw each other. And you get to a point, at least I got to a point that I said, I've been here, done this. I've done good work. I had 5 saves, legit people that are walking around alive because of my crew that day. And
Right.
that is the greatest gift. So
Yes.
I loved it and I simultaneously hated it because
I get
there's no one else. Like there's no one to turn to and say, doctor, this patient is this, what do I
I
do?
know.
That's you. And I loved the responsibility and it drove me to learn and educate. But at the same time, the imposter syndrome in me said, oh, good God, someone's going to die if I don't make the right decision.
Yeah.
But in my case, like I loved it and hated it. Okay.
That's awesome. That's awesome. And so you say also that all of this experience that you had when you came upon legal nurse consulting, the whole thing clicked.
Yes. So I took a job as informatics because I worked at a rural hospital and we kept having sentinel events and nobody could understand why. I was like, the clinicians are great. Like, is it a computer thing? Like, what is really going on? And it was such an opportunity to see behind the scenes of how EHRs are set up and what goes into templated notes. And if the workflow isn't right, consequences happen.
Yeah.
And so through that, I was looking for some kind of documentation training, right? Because what's our core nursing verse? If it's not documented, it didn't happen.
It didn't
And that
happen.
yes, that stands up in a court of law. If it's not documented, it didn't happen. And
Right.
so I found Pat Iyer, who is the original legal nurse consultant. I often say she developed the field because I don't know anybody before her. And I just was like, what? I had no idea this existed. And then the more I learned, the more I reached out. It was like the computer programming part worked, the critical thinking fell into place, even the military, the structure. And I said, oh my gosh, like this is why I did all those crazy careers. And since then, I've just taken it and run with it.
Awesome. Awesome. And I'm sorry, I see that one of your passions has to do with PFAS
Yeah.
and educating, raising awareness about it. Um, how well are those efforts to raise awareness received?
That is a great question. So 2.5 years ago, when Justine and we stumbled upon PFAS because we kept finding cancer clusters in people that had no past medical history, but it was wiping out entire families. I'm talking 10-year-olds, 20-year-olds, and they're diagnosed with stage 4 and they're dead in 6 months. And we're like, what in the world? And when you speak to these people on a daily basis, it just empowered us to figure out what was going on. So we started reaching out to scientists. what is, asking all these questions. And we stumbled upon PFAS. And so 2.5 years ago, when we started telling people about it, they literally told us we were nuts. They said, why are you even talking about it? You're not environmental. You don't know anything. You're a nurse, blah, blah, blah. We did not listen to any of that. We said, there is an issue. It keeps happening. People keep dying. And until you listen, we're just going to keep talking. And we just pivoted and pivoted. And I loved, Dale, that you used that word, because as a business owner, you have to constantly pivot.
Yeah.
So we kept changing our approach. And finally, we found audiences that were not only willing to listen, but they've been studying it for years. And then they turned it on to more people. We got smarter about it. We reached out to people who taught us how to speak to people about issues that are not fun, that are doom and gloom. And really, we just kind of morphed into this. We're going to keep talking about it and we'll find our people. And last night, I actually did a talk to a veterans group in Weatherford, Texas. It was so fun. And what I realized was that 2 years ago, when we would talk to people about it, their eyes would glaze over. They're like, I don't care. They asked so many great questions and referenced articles we've written, articles they've seen in the paper. And so I would say it is definitely being more widely talked about and openly. And I just encourage people, if you feel really strongly about something going on, the answer is always no if you don't do it. And if you don't find your audience at first, just keep pivoting. You'll find them. If you feel truly passionate about something, as you know, as a nurse, right? We always find a way. We are divers of life. Give us any situation, we duct tape that stuff, we get you out the door, we fix it. And we really applied a lot of the nursing tenets that we learned to just not taking no. And so I feel like it's much better received.
I believe you. I have to tell you quite honestly that while I was aware of it, maybe I didn't allow it to penetrate my consciousness as much as it should have. It was only after I started looking at you both, after I received your bios and I started looking at you both, and I thought, well, let me take a look, and I realized that it's so much more pervasive than it's everywhere. It's in everything we do. And so I am so happy that you guys are like, push, let's talk about this. Let's talk about this, because now here we are and we have all of these things that are not going anywhere. So what are we going to do?
So I love this. I actually got this question last night, because when we start to say it's in the water, it's in our food, it's in the ground, that's the doom and gloom that happens. So we have to, what does a nurse do when they are faced with a problem? And I used to make fun of my nursing instructors that would say, ad pie, Keli, ad pie. And I am like, take your ad pie and you know what you can do with it, right? But what I realized is the way I was trained as a nurse, my brain functions that way now. You are never going to tackle the entirety of a problem.
Right.
You look at it, assess it, what can I handle first? And what we came upon is that water is the most significant and most devastating way that we're all getting PFAS in. So we're doing water first. Now, after that, we have to tackle things like the products, like our medical devices. If you want to hear something terrifying, every medical device that touches your cardiovascular system is coated in PFTE. And I mean, we know it leaches in the skin, but you know what? We can't fix that right now. Let's fix the water and go from there. So again, utilizing those aspects that I just don't think nurses, we don't give ourselves credit for looking at situations and assessing and figuring out that plan. And I would tell my students, the 27-page care plans that I'm making you write, one day you will thank me. And I hated them too. But it teaches us how to get our brain around issues like this. Because do we ever tackle one thing of a person? No, we holistically look at them, but you
Yeah.
can't treat everything at once. So I think what we bring to the situation is that ability to take the doom and gloom, chunk it into easily digestible components, get them focusing, and then we'll worry about the other stuff, right?
Yeah.
Down the road.
Yeah. And I'm so glad you said that we don't always give ourselves credit for the things we do, because that is so true. Um, and born out of that thought is a question that I very often ask nurses. So I'm going to ask you, what do you see as your greatest achievement for so far? What has given you the most satisfaction?
Oh, goodness. I would say coming into what I feel like has been the true calling of advocacy, that word didn't mean a lot to me in nursing school. It started to mean something as a flight nurse. When you're in a situation where you can transport a patient an hour, they're going to get a $70,000 bill minimum, but there's no
Mhm.
chance of survival. There's literally none. You really start to evaluate situations and go, who is this for? Or do you allow the family the knowledge to make a decision that maybe instead of flying someone hours away, they get the 10 minutes and the patient dies with dignity?
Dignity.
That is really where I learned what true advocacy is. It really didn't make sense to me. And I think speaking up for thousands of people that have no idea we exist, they have no idea we're fighting this fight for them, that to me brings us so much joy, because it's not about recognition. It's about making the world a better place. And 10 years ago, if you would have told me I was going to be interested in environmental things and advocating for strangers, I would have said, Dale, no, that is not me. I like to get in, get out, have my vacation. And I think really as a nurse, when you become wise about the field of nursing, whether you're a nurse 2 years or 27 years, a light bulb goes off and you're like, oh, this is what I should have always been doing. And this is what gets me up every day.
Yeah.
But I
Yeah.
totally agree that nurses, we often say that isn't what makes us so special. And that is
Yeah.
what makes us so
So
special. I
special.
think we should claim that back as nurses.
Absolutely.
No one else can do it.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. So now I was intrigued by Guard Dog. Guard Dog Telehealth. Tell me about the name. Guard Dog
Yeah.
Telehealth.
So as a joke, well, it's not, the name is not a joke. Justine and I were very literal in our business names. And through doing the work that we do in with MTMC, advocating for lots and lots of clients, whether it's mass tort, personal injury, you name it, what we found is, and I'm just going to be blunt, the healthcare system's broken. We all know it. It was
Yeah.
broken before COVID. COVID put the cherry on top. Thousands of nurses left. They said, you know what? I was hanging on by a thread. I can't do it anymore. Hospitals are canceling Medicare patients. There's rural people that don't have any providers, not even NPs. There's
I
nobody
know.
for hours. And being a veteran, I saw firsthand the VA is so overwhelmed. I mean, they're trying their best, but it's not good enough. We have vets that need help, appointments, their records. And so one day, as Justine and I were sitting around, and we said, you know what? Nobody is going to do anything about this, so we should. And it was nuts, again, because who are we? We're just two nurses, right? And we said, so we're going to start a telehealth company, and the name Guard Dog, because we advocate for people that can't advocate for themselves or who need a voice. So we picture it as guarding, we're between, the patients and Armageddon. Like, it's a wild west in medicine now. And these poor people, they just need some help. They need a prescription for their blood pressure. I mean,
Mhm.
it shouldn't be that difficult to get care. we have one of, if not the best country in the world, because I am biased. And I believe our healthcare system can be fixed. But we all have to step up and kind of take a little bit of ownership. So
Yeah.
Guard Dog really is, in a sense, we are stepping up to protect those people that we feel like need it the most. And we have gotten great feedback that nobody likes the name but Justine and I. And again, we're like, well, we know what it means. And so we're keeping it.
I love the name. I
Yeah,
love the name because, I saw it and I immediately got a vision of this dog, this
yeah.
big black dog at, like a junkyard gate. And it's like, you're not coming in.
Yes, we have since made the logo of the dog a little bit softer. But really the thought behind it was there are a lot of people out there that are struggling. They can't afford food,
Yeah,
let alone their medicine. And so we said, you know what, instead of complaining about the broken healthcare system, we're going to step up. And do we know what we're doing? No, but we're figuring it out. We're surrounding ourselves with experts. And again, what I challenge nurses to do is we all know what's wrong. We do. We see it. We see it at the bedside. We see it in the hospitals.
yeah.
Just do it. Stand up
Just
and do
do
it.
it.
Yeah,
Just do
we
it.
don't need anyone's permission. We're a powerful group
We're nurses.
of educated professionals.
Yeah.
We can do this. So really, Justine and I giggle about it because everyone's like, "What?" And I go, "It means something to us." So I'm glad you got a little bit of the visual.
But I listen to you and I look at what you have done, and I think to myself, what a powerful example for nurses coming into the profession that you are. So what do you tell them? What advice do you give them?
Oh, well, thank you for that. One thing, when I was a professor, I taught nursing critical care, so right before they graduated. I'm sorry if I already said that. But I was very honest. I really said this is the best, worst job you will ever have. And so the things that really impacted me in my career, we used as exercises. I was very transparent about, I made one medication mistake my second week on orientation. It was a very minor mistake, but it stuck with me.
Yeah.
I listened to what my preceptors were telling me. I didn't have an attitude. Did I do the blood pressure wrong? Yes. Did they scold me in front of the patient? Yes. Was it humiliating? Yes. But did I learn? Yes. Now, I don't advocate that in front of the patient, but what I really tell nurses is this is such a powerful profession, but you have to know what you're getting into.
Yeah.
Most people, this is the worst day of their life. They're not going to be super happy. I've had people throw poo at me. I've had people bite me. I've been in a room where I've been cornered, and I've had to use everything that I was taught and everything in my background to get myself out of those
Yeah.
situations.
Yeah.
That is the ugly side of nursing. And do we talk about it enough? No, but at the
No.
end of the day, that patient is a human being suffering from whatever is going on, and they need us. And even when we don't want to advocate for them, we want them to go away because they're hitting their call out 27 times. I think let's talk about how aggravating that is. So go in and talk to the client. What's missing? Hey, I have other patients. And I don't know, Dale, if you can tell, I'm very blunt. And I would just ask my patients, hey, you're really bugging me. What can I do to help you today? Please help me take care of other people. And I form a partnership. And I wish as nurses we could be more honest about the good. There are so many great things that happen,
Yes.
and be very honest about the bad.
Yeah.
Because equally, if we all didn't love this job, we would not go back
You would
day
not be back.
no,
Right.
we wouldn't. But I think being okay with saying, I hate this job today, it doesn't mean you hate nursing. It doesn't mean you're going to throw it away. It means you had a bad day. It's fine. We all have bad days. Talk about it. You wake up the next day and you're like, whoo, okay, burn some sage, whatever you need to do to get right. And I
That's
wish,
the thing, Kelly. Yeah.
yeah,
Mhm.
I wish we would be more upfront with the nurses coming in.
Yeah, yeah. I know that there have been many days when I've said, I'm done. I'm
Mhm.
done. And then you know what? The next day I'm back there, all bright-eyed and bushy-tailed. Let's go.
Right. Or don't you find, Dale, when you've said you're done, you get what I call the unicorn patient. That patient that comes in that embodies what I call the Florence Nightingale, like
Yeah,
why you became a nurse. Their family's fantastic. They're the sweetest
yeah.
patient. They say thank you. And every day when I was like, I am going to go work at Wendy's. I love Wendy's. I mean, it would have to be a lot less stress, right? I'm sorry, let me get you another burger. Like easy to help people. I always got one of those patients
Yeah,
and I was like, I feel like it was whatever you believe in saying, this is really
this is
your path.
where.
And so I
Mhm.
would tell my students, find your unicorn patient and go hang out in the room. And I would tell my patients, I'm like, you're my unicorn today. They're like, what does that mean? And I'm like, you were the reason I became a nurse. And I'm going to hang out in here because it's a little bit rough out there today. But I feel like that's something we should share,
Yeah,
you know.
yeah, yeah. Lastly, but not leastly, Kelly, with all of this, um, we all know that we tend to put ourselves on the back burner. What do you do to care for you?
Oh my gosh. So Justine asked me this question and I literally started laughing. Um, I am terrible at self-care. Absolutely terrible. What I am vowing to do this year, because two businesses, as a CEO, we go out, I talk to patients, I talk to
Mm,
attorneys. I mean, we are very visible in our company. We are not, I hide behind my desk and I'm
mm,
work 4 days, a week. Oh, I wish. One of the things that's on my vision board, right dead center, is self-care. Because what I realized last year is when I get burnt out, I make terrible decisions. I don't align with the culture that we work so hard to build in both our
mm.
companies. And it's okay for me to say, you know what, I'm not feeling today. I'm going to go to Target or I'm going to go take a walk. Nobody judges me. Nobody. I own, like Justin and I own the company. Like we're able to say, hey, I'm taking a break.
Yeah,
I will tell you, it doesn't get any better. You have to force yourself to
yeah.
self-care, right? And
Yes.
so it is something that I struggle with. I'm hoping to get better this year. And I have because I have not worked every single weekend so far this year. Only Sundays. So I'm making improvements. But it is something that you do, if you have to put it on your vision board or you have to put
Yeah,
it in your day timer or on your phone, you just have to do it. No one's
yeah,
gonna do it for you.
yeah, yeah. I talk to nurses about it. I bring it up with every single nurse, knowing that, in my conversation with them, it's actually a conversation with me too, because I honestly still have to work at it every single day. So yeah.
Mhm.
So Kelly, thank you so very much for this conversation. Really, it's been a blast. I've loved it. I really have.
Oh,
Any last words you want to leave us with?
oh, well, thank you so much, Dale. And if anybody wants to get a hold of Justine or I and just ask what it's like to be a female business owner, I mean, we have so many interesting, amazing experiences that we love to share. Justine and I definitely are of the mindset that we help. We help each other. That's what's going to get everything fixed. So please reach out. And Dale, it has been a true pleasure. Usually interviews we do are a little dry. It's so fun to talk about being a nurse and why being a nurse is honestly the best job I've ever had. I'll never do anything else. Like I always identify as nurse first. So thank you for inviting us. It's been a lot of fun.
My absolute pleasure. Thank you, Kelly.